Este video es una reconstrucción histórica con IA, basada en registros de la época, con fines educativos.
On April 14, 1912, the largest ship ever built crossed the North Atlantic with absolute confidence in its engineering. Throughout that day, multiple vessels transmitted clear warnings about massive ice fields directly in Titanic's path. Those messages reached the radio room. They were written down, logged, and in some cases forwarded to the bridge. Even so, the ship maintained high speed in a region known for seasonal iceberg danger. Tonight, we'll reconstruct every warning, every operational decision, and every minute leading up to the impact. And before we step onto the bridge and into the radio room, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with this historical analysis until the end. On the morning of April 14, 1912, RMS Titanic was sailing the final leg of her journey toward New York. She was operating within the standards of the era, maintaining speed to stay on schedule. On board, everything felt normal. For officers and passengers alike, the crossing seemed safe, routine, and fully under control. On the bridge of RMS Titanic, the afternoon routine remained steady on April 14th. Officers monitored instruments and held the planned speed. Navigation was handled by an experienced European crew, confident in the ship's technology and accepted procedures. The prevailing belief was simple: the voyage was firmly under control. Inside Titanic's Marconi room, the flow of commercial messages never stopped. Operators handled passenger requests and coastal transmissions under constant pressure. Operational warnings shared space with private traffic. The priority was clear: keep the system running, stay efficient, and manage the growing workload. As the afternoon progressed, the first ice warnings reached RMS Titanic. The messages were brief, technical, and quickly noted by the operators. Some were set aside informally, mixed in with commercial traffic. There was no strict filtering protocol, reflecting the everyday practices of maritime navigation at the time. Eventually, the ice warnings made their way to the bridge. The notes were read quickly and placed on the navigation table. No formal meeting followed, no immediate change in course or speed. The information was treated as routine, absorbed into the confidence that guided the ship's operation. On the bridge, ice reports were interpreted using the charts available. Ice fields were viewed as broad, imprecise zones, not immediate threats. Standard practice was to increase lookout vigilance, not reduce speed. To the officers, the data suggested caution, but not operational urgency. As the hours passed, additional iceberg reports arrived. Notes accumulated among charts and instruments. The information was recorded, but daily routines on the bridge remained unchanged. Navigation continued steadily, supported by trust in procedure and constant observation. In the Marconi room, the workload reached critical levels. Operators prioritized commercial messages bound for shore, responding to passenger demand. Operational warnings competed for attention amid constant radio noise. Under that pressure, decisions became practical, not strategic. On the bridge, speed was maintained according to schedule. Operational choices reflected common practice of the era, where punctuality and efficiency came first. For the European officers on board, slowing down without direct visual confirmation didn't seem necessary. The crossing remained, by all appearances, on track. As night fell, temperatures dropped rapidly. The sea turned unnaturally calm, with no waves breaking ahead of the ship. These conditions drastically reduced the visibility of drifting ice. The danger increased, quietly. If this kind of historical investigation interests you, subscribe to follow the full analysis. At the bow, the lookouts faced worsening conditions. Darkness was nearly complete. The cold was intense. The sea was glassy smooth. With no binoculars available, detection relied solely on the human eye. After hours on duty, fatigue set in, further reducing their ability to spot danger ahead. Optical conditions that night were extremely unfavorable. A moonless sky and a perfectly calm sea erased visual contrast. Without waves breaking against ice, icebergs became nearly invisible. Distance perception was distorted, drastically shortening reaction time to any obstacle ahead. Subtle signs began to suggest environmental change. The air grew colder. The silence of the sea became unmistakable. On the bridge and at the bow, vigilance increased quietly. Attention sharpened, even though no formal orders were given. Observation intensified. Action did not. Ice messages grew shorter and more urgent. Some arrived fragmented, others interrupted by heavy radio traffic. Information moved through operational noise, losing clarity and priority. The final warning failed to trigger immediate response. The window for anticipation was closing fast. Just before the critical moment, a final ice warning was sent by a nearby ship. The message was direct, but it arrived amid radio overload. It was never delivered to the bridge as it should have been. The information remained isolated. Precious minutes slipped away, unnoticed. Suddenly, a solid shape broke through the darkness ahead. The iceberg appeared too late for a comfortable evasive maneuver. The bell rang instantly. The warning echoed from bow to bridge. In seconds, routine gave way to reaction. Decision time had shrunk to mere moments. Orders were issued immediately on the bridge. Maneuvers began within seconds, attempting to pull the hull away from the visible threat. The ship responded slowly. The passage scraped along the ice. There was no explosion, only a brief, unsettling silence, difficult to interpret in that instant. Below deck, the first signs appeared. Water advanced slowly through technical spaces, barely noticeable at first. Crew members sensed changes in sound and pressure. Watertight doors were activated according to procedure. Gradually, it became clear the damage was not superficial. Technical teams began immediate inspections of the affected compartments. Improvised measurements and direct observation revealed the true extent of the damage. Water was spreading beyond initial calculations. Multiple compartments were compromised at once. From that moment on, the severity could no longer be ignored. The technical assessment led to an unavoidable conclusion. The damage was accepted for what it was. Navigation ceased to be the priority. Internal coordination took its place. Procedures were organized, roles assigned, communications initiated. The focus shifted to managing the remaining time with order and precision.
I can't reach again. Stop me.
With the situation confirmed, the role of the radio changed instantly. Commercial traffic stopped. Distress calls began. Signals were transmitted again and again, searching for nearby ships. Each transmission was a chance. Communication became the ship's final link to outside help. On deck, lifeboat preparation began. Orders were delivered with discipline, but delays and uncertainty slowed the operation. Logistics demanded precise coordination in tight spaces. Some boats were readied, others waited for clear instructions. Time pressed in from every direction. As the last boats were prepared, the list became noticeable. Internal movement increased, structural sounds grew more frequent, activity on deck intensified, demanding constant physical effort from the crew. The ship no longer behaved as before. With each passing minute, the task grew harder. In the final phase, power began failing across sections of the ship. Water reached areas once isolated, creating clear internal divisions. Passageways became inaccessible, movement fragmented. The line between safe and compromised zones became permanent. Time was now limited and irreversible. Submersion continued until the last visible structure disappeared beneath the surface. Noise faded gradually, replaced by a vast, heavy silence. On the surface, only scattered traces remained. The Atlantic returned to stillness, holding the final evidence of what had happened. After the disaster, radio messages were collected and analyzed. Written records made it possible to reconstruct the sequence of warnings and decisions. The investigation revealed how clear alerts were treated as routine. The lesson endured. Technology and confidence never replaced caution. Ignored warnings reshaped maritime safety forever.